Dime qué tú quieres, papi. ¿Quieres que lo mueva para ti? Mueve, mueve. ¿Te gusta cuando me muevo así? Así.
Yeah. Woke up. Yeah, man.
That's hot shit right there, man.
So what we gonna do? We gonna dub.
Looks like we got us another hit. Yep.
Good evening, my little one. I shall make you psychotic.
Mommy, what does psychotic mean?
Back and forth, and you know I'm swinging bows. I'm about to change course, go home and changing clothes. I'm looking at this bitch, it seems like she's saying no. I'ma hit the streets, though I'm supposed to be laying low. I'm following the buzz, never know which way it go. Keep on bringing heat, cause the G.O.D. say it so. Sailing on the beat, so you can't chop and play it so. She got me for a piece, now I'm about to pay the hoe. Stop smoking, switch the sweets, where I gotta take a toke. Now I got a little guac, now I gotta make it grow. Keep on thinking we some hee-haw, ma and pa folks. We gon' hit you in your teeth, we keep a buzz all closed. I've been on it 5 days, so I'm sitting sideways. Now get out of my way, or I'ma hit your day. Take a lick on my dick if you don't like what I say. I'm the shit with the shit, so we gon' do this my way. Yo, we just getting started, so go on, say your grace. I'ma eat you rappers, though I won't enjoy the taste. I'm closing your estates while you falling on the stakes. I'm rolling on the bass while you rolling on the face. Sitting on the place, not knowing I'ma take your fast, slowing and it's fake. So I'm gonna wait. Time will come, down, we'll be done. I saw it and I said that it was great.
Mommy, what does psychotic mean?
Yeah, this is what it is. It's what it is. All talent on trapping and rapping and moving muscle. If it ain't about the hustle, then I don't wanna tussle. All talent on trapping and rapping and moving muscle. If it ain't about the hustle, then I don't wanna tussle. All talent on trapping and rapping and moving muscle. If it ain't about the hustle, then I don't wanna tussle. All talent on trapping and rapping and moving muscle. If it ain't about the hustle, then I don't wanna tussle. I done played the block and it's time to stop. Pop the block, then drop the top. Button have to say fuck, got to shake, keep it high up on my block. Keep it not up in my pocket. You know the G and it can't be stopped. Flip the script with serving dip. Keep the heat on Silent Hill. You know when I know that feel water just so cold. Riding on foes, slamming wood dough. Sipping on drinking, fucking these hoes. Riding on boats, pushing kilos. Me and my boys ball out of control. Got so much ice you can balance football. Me little G, I can't be hoe. Look at my mouth, see number gold. Fucking with a knife, will make you fold. Look at my room, see number polo. Step in the bed and in the studio. Open your nose and smell of smoke. Open your mouth and start to blow. Now you know we got that dope. Me and my boys ball out of control. We keyed up and G'd up. We should've lost straight speed up. We should've decided to pull my heat up. Lost nigga going big, I'm fucked up. Nigga, we keyed up and G'd up. Once you lost straight speed up. We should've decided to pull my heat up. Lost nigga going back, I'm fucked up. All talent on trapping and rapping and moving muscle. If it ain't about the hustle, then I don't wanna tussle. All talent on trapping and rapping and moving muscle. If it ain't about the hustle, then I don't wanna tussle. All talent on trapping and rapping and moving muscle. If it ain't about the hustle, then I don't wanna wanna tussle. All talent on trapping and rapping and moving muscles. If it ain't about the hustle, I don't wanna tussle.
Hitting niggas in they fucking head with a crack. Bustin', I'm bustin' back with a gap that spits venom. You sitting black. And when the bottom of the knife and it smack, Iblis,
The cat's waxing him back.
cause he ain't suffered enough, hustled enough, scuffling cuff his hand to a cop, nothing discussed, cutting his nuts to his cock, something to shock a spark out your heart when you stop jogging in the park, and you meet a nigga dog that fight ball, blood spilling on the sidewalk, staying in the light is smart despite staying on course, of course, cause the smell of death escaping out of corpse is rough, top half man and I be damned if they bottom half horse, hush, lost souls rushing to touch the black hole, wishing to be dust gagging and fuss, cause the demon face leaking pus.
All talent on trapping and rapping and moving muscle. If it ain't about the hustle, then I don't wanna tussle. All talent on trapping and rapping and moving muscle. If it ain't about the hustle, then I don't wanna tussle. All talent on trapping and rapping and moving muscle. If it ain't about the hustle, then I don't wanna tussle. All talent on trapping and rapping and moving muscle. If it ain't about the hustle, then I don't wanna tussle. Trapping and rapping ain't about the hustle. I don't wanna tussle. All trapping and rapping ain't about the hustle. I don't wanna tussle out.
Dime qué tú quieres, papi. ¿Quieres que lo mueva para ti? Mueve, mueve. ¿Te gusta cuando me muevo así? Así. Mueve, muevo, mueve.
Hey, you, we up in the place, we up in the place, we up in the place. Hey, you, make your body shake, make your body shake, make your body shake. Hey, you, we up in the place, we up in the place, we up in the place. Hey, you, make your body shake, make your body shake, make your body shake. Hop, hop, jump, skip up on the floor. If they didn't know, then we gon' let them know. Drop low, giving them a show. We gon' give them something that they never seen before. Hop, got 784, bouncing on the beat while keeping the flow. Stop, watch, freeze and go. Cock-a-doodle-doo is what you eating off the floor. Pop, lock, do it by yourself. You know you the best, you don't need nobody else. Rock, hip, toast to success. You was born a winner, so you never nothing less. Hey, you, we up in the place, we up in the place, we up in the place. Hey, you, make your body shake, make your body shake, make your body shake. Hey, you, we up in the place, we up in the place, we up in the place. Hey, you, make your body shake, make your body shake, make your body shake. Bow, bow, rock, rock, shake, shake, wiggle, 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 wiggle. Bow, bow, rock, rock, shake, shake, wiggle, wiggle, wiggle.
¿Quieres que lo mueva para ti?
Bow, bow, rock, rock, shake, shake, wiggle, wiggle,
¿Te gusta
wiggle.
cuando me muevo así? Así.
Bow, bow, rock, rock, shake, shake, wiggle, wiggle. When we come through, make you move just a little. Clap, snap, do it from the hip. You can do this whether you stand or sit. Pump, fist, do it with your wrist. Pump it back and forth like you trying to catch a fish. Hip, twist, do a finger kiss. Rocking back and forth as you make your body shift. Top, tick, do it like you sick. 2 + 4 is 6, and that's a ripper thick. Top, 6, we gon' let it rip. We got your attention and we not gon' let it slip. So hands up, move your head and know what's up. Now it's shoulders rolling while you showing them your stuff. Hey, you, we up in the place, we up in the place, we up in the place. Hey, you, make your body shake, make your body shake, make your body shake. Hey, you, we up in the place, we up in the place, we up in the place. Hey, you, make your body shake, make your body shake, make your body shake. Bow, bow, rock, rock, shake, shake, wiggle, wiggle,
Dime
wiggle.
qué tú quieres, papi.
Bow, bow, rock, rock, shake, shake, wiggle, wiggle,
¿Quieres
wiggle.
que lo mueva para ti?
Bow, bow, rock, rock, shake, shake, wiggle,
¿Te
wiggle,
gusta
wiggle.
cuando me muevo así? Así.
Bow, bow, rock, rock, shake, shake, wiggle, wiggle. When we come through, make you move just a little, 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 just a little.
Hey, how y'all doing out there? How y'all feel? Remember, we want you to be an activist and don't take our word for it. Look that mess up. Thank you, God, for this day we have lived. Everything in our life, our health, our family, the guidance you have given us. Allow us guidance to the path of righteousness. Amen. 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 I'm in Ra. How y'all feel, man? Y'all feel good? Back again. It's Thursday, right? Am I right? What freaking day of the week it is? Yeah, it's Thursday. I had class this morning. And then I had to go to work. And now I'm here on the show. So that's my day. And I do a lot of preparations for the show just because I show up here like this and it seems all laid back and nonchalant. Yeah, there's more to it than that. Let me play this anyways. Come to mention, I don't know if you guys saw this. Probably no one saw it at the beginning. Let me play this. I made this clip right here. I really like it a lot.
Dime qué tú quieres, papi. ¿Quieres que lo mueva para ti? Mueve, mueve. ¿Te gusta cuando me muevo así? Así.
Anyways, may not seem much to you, but that's 19 seconds of freaking butter, if you ask me. It's really nice, I think. I like it a lot. Anyways, it's just my editing skills are coming along. It's one of the things that's happening as a result of this show is because I feel like, certain muscles are being flexed. Like I say all the time, it's like a mental exercise for whoever joins the show. It's a mental exercise. So we're expanding our perspectives and we're thinking about things and stuff like that. And it may not seem like much to some people, but hey, I had a thought. I took a shower before I did the show. And while I was in the shower, I was thinking, it was a song I was listening to while I was in the shower, but the song inspired a thought. And I was thinking it's like, it's that movie. It's that song Sail by AWOL Nation. And the guy's like, blame it on my ADD. Blame it on my ADD, baby. So it's okay, thinking about it. I was thinking about it. And it's like ADD, right? And it's like, maybe switching back and forth, because that's kind of what he was saying in the song. It was like going, at one point, he's like, maybe I should kill myself, And then it's like, what I was thinking was like, the next thought is like, well, maybe I should save the world or try to save the world, And it's kind of just as reckless as killing yourself. And it's like, maybe it's really the same thing, but you're going to try to stay alive and use your life as best you can to try to save the world, if you will, through your own perception, whatever you think is saving the world, But see, the thing is about that is that it could be good or that could be bad, depending on the perspective, right? Depending on how you're looking at it. Like somebody saying they're saving the world, some guy could be like, okay, he could be like Thanos and want to just, kill half the people on the planet. Or it could be someone that's like, oh, I need to bring them to Christianity and Jesus, and so it's perspective, right? So what one person thinks of as saving the world is not going to be what someone else thinks it is. You get what I'm saying? So if as far as saving the world, then how would you do that? What would it be like? And then do you even have the perspective to be able to even attempt to go at this? Anyways, it's a mental exercise. I want to get into it more later. I'm gonna wait till some people get in here, hopefully. But the name of the show today is Your Perception is My Reality. And then the caption is, it's like, is your perception reality? So, something to think about. That's why I picked the green screen that I have right here with the blindfolds. It's like, what can you see? And what is reality? Because I typed in, what did I type in? I typed in reality, and then I typed in perception, and the same results for images for this site that I used to find the images for the green screen. The same list popped up for perception and reality. Like I typed it in separately. I typed in perception and I typed in reality separately. And both, each time, this pretty much the same results popped up. And I found that interesting. It made me think. So it's like we think about reality and we tell ourselves what reality is or whatever, but is reality really just our perception of it? What is reality actually? Is it, can we even perceive it, you know, with our own little two eyes, or maybe it has to do with the culmination of the, group of people who are looking at things and together they decide on what reality is. But at that point, is that reality, or is that just the culmination of the perceptions of these people and they're deciding on what is reality? Anyways, I want to get back to that. That's the idea for today. Hold on, what was that? Um, Human smuggler admits that the real reason they take children, the rich need those organs. What is this? 5 years ago, they would have called this a conspiracy theory. Let's hear it.
With those characteristics, they tend to take them. They are just gonna keep them there, and they're not gonna be free ever again.
When they keep the children, they could use them for anything, for drugs or for sex, for the kids could be abused, right, on the road.
In most cases, they wanted to sell their organs, so that is the reason they take children.
That's very hard to hear.
Yes, it's very hard. Sometimes they take out the organs and they refill the body with drugs so they can take it through the border.
Do they sell them to hospitals or to buyers, like private buyers, wealthy buyers?
There are people with money that want to buy the organs of kids. And it's not only for a country, they take it to different countries. And normally they do this with clinics that are not authorized.
This is worth a lot of money.
Obviously, it's more lucrative for them to just get the child and gain money from each organ they sell. So they're obviously looking for opportunities to gain more money out of it. They just care about the money.
Wow.
I've heard that some people in places have very specific things that they like, certain nationalities or certain age groups. So the cartels are looking for the people going around, and when they spot someone with those characteristics, they tend to take them. They are just gonna keep them there, and they're not gonna be free ever again.
When they keep the children, they could use them for anything, for drugs or...
Yeah, well, I've been screaming that shit about the organs for the longest, so that's not really surprising to me, because I be saying all the time, I tend to say, I've been saying for the longest, is that, how much would somebody pay for an organ? I mean, that's just common sense. You're looking at drugs, you're looking at guns, and you're looking at organs, bro. Like, what the hell is more valuable than that? And value comes from what people are willing to pay for. So if somebody really needs a specific heart or kidney or whatever the hell it is, bro, they're going to pay whatever it is. And they're not going to ask questions about where it came from. So I don't know why people would feel surprised about this. It really should be common sense. When they say human trafficking, it's not just human trafficking for sexual purposes. It's human trafficking for organs, whatever they want, blood, freaking stem cells, literally whatever they want. Anyways, I'm going to move on from that. It's kind of sensationalized, it's just to kind of get you emotional. Like, what are you gonna do? I mean, if you really want this to end, you know, it's a lot that we could do about it as a country, and it would have to do with like legalizing drugs, you know, legalizing prostitution, and regulate that shit. Boom. No more cartel, no more fucking human trafficking.
supposed to be here.
Who's saying it?
They called about it. I don't know who called.
I'm supposed to be here. I'm Pastor Jennings. I live across the street.
You're Pastor Jennings?
Yes, I'm looking out for their house while they gone.
Okay.
While they fly.
Okay. Well, that's cool. Do you have like ID and all?
No, man. I'm not gonna give you no ID.
Why not?
I ain't did nothing wrong.
Well, you look. There's a suspicious person in the yard, and if you're not one to identify yourself,
I don't have to identify myself. I live right across the street. Who called y'all?
that's what we got to figure out.
You have no right to approach me if I ain't did nothing suspicious or nothing wrong.
Listen.
Told him I'm a pastor. I'm not showing y'all anything. I'm gonna continue to run these flowers.
Simple. We got one that's not listening to.
I don't want to argue with you, okay?
All right, go ahead and do what you gotta do, dog. Do what you got to do.
You have to identify yourself to me. You understand what I'm telling you?
Okay, does he have permission here to be watering flowers?
They are friends.
Okay.
And they went out of town today, so
Right.
he may be watering their flowers.
Okay.
It'd be completely normal.
You live here?
No, I don't live here.
Okay. You're not supposed to be
Who's
here.
saying it?
They called about it. I don't know who called.
I'm supposed to be here. I'm Pastor Jennings. I live across the street.
You're Pastor Jennings?
Yes, I'm looking out for their house while they gone.
Okay.
While they fly.
Okay. Well, that's cool. Do you have like ID and all?
No, man. I'm not gonna give you no ID.
Why not?
I ain't did nothing wrong.
Well, you look. There's a suspicious person in the yard, and if you're not one to identify yourself,
I don't have to identify myself. I live right across the street. Who called y'all?
that's what we got to figure out.
You have no right to approach me if I ain't did nothing suspicious or nothing wrong.
Listen.
Told him I'm a pastor. I'm not showing y'all anything. I'm gonna continue to run these flowers.
Simple. We got one that's not listening to.
I don't want to argue with you, okay?
All right, go ahead and do what you gotta do, dog. Do what you got to do.
You have to identify yourself to me. You understand what I'm telling you?
Okay, does he have permission here to be watering flowers?
They are friends.
Okay.
And they went out of town today, so
Right.
he may be watering their flowers.
Okay.
It'd be completely normal.
You live here?
No, I don't live here.
Okay. You're not supposed to be
Who's
here.
saying it?
They called about it. I don't know who called.
I'm supposed to be here.
I know a lot of people will make excuses for this, or they would just say it's not a big deal. But you know how this kind of thing could really lead into an ugly situation, you know? And this is America right here. This is America. This is America. Would they have kept questioning him if his skin tone was different? I mean, ask yourself. Don't lie to yourself. Let me read some comments. Can y'all hear me? I don't know what the hell was up with the mic a minute ago. A comment. It says, I like how the lady at the end was talking to the cop like he was a child. Another comment. It says, really, for watering flowers? What the hell? USA is upside down, man. Another comment says, what? That's so wrong. Another one says, bootlicking activities. What does that mean? I don't know what that means. It says, hi, yes, police. I'd like to report a crime. Come quick. He's watering the flowers. Wait. Now he's starting the lawnmower. Please get here quick. My God, he's now hanging the laundry up to dry. Get here now. I'm glad they're making jokes about it because it is funny though. It says they got to check with the white person if he checks out. Did he ask her for her ID as well? Another comment, it says, how would the random white neighbor be the authenticator of whether he belongs there? Are her words more valid than his? Another comment, who are you and what are you doing? He tells them and they're like, nah, we don't believe you. We believe that random person on the phone, which we won't identify. What in the ever-loving fuck? I mean, it's so ridiculous when you freaking like... So, well, they're in trouble because this happened a while ago. So, but what happened is the footage got released because of this lawsuit that this guy is doing. So, you know, we would have never even seen this if you know, this guy hadn't done this suit and obviously about to get paid, because why else would they be releasing the video? Or otherwise they would have sat on it and it wouldn't have came out. But the lawyers probably forced them, you know, to cough up that video, and whoever's, you know, the people on the guy's side who's doing the suit probably felt like it was a good idea to release it. What's up, Pat? How you feel?
Feeling pretty good, man. Full
Yeah,
and sleepy, but
yeah.
I was anyway. I'm good right now, but
Took a nap. Yeah, man. I took a shower. I had to. I was gonna just jump on here, but I did too much running around today, so I was like, I clear my mind a little bit. Um, damn it. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, what do you think about this story right here? Innocent pastor harassed and arrested for watering his neighbor's flowers. And then they gave him a
man,
trumped up ass charge. They had to make up something to charge him with.
I don't know what to say. I mean, because I don't really know much about it, but don't sound right. I mean, as far I mean, because talking about he peed on the dude flowers.
No, he was watering flowers for his neighbor. His neighbor went out of town,
Oh, he really okay.
and his neighbor went out of town and asked him to keep an eye on the plants or whatever, water the flowers for him. And then probably a different neighbor called the police because they probably knew that he wasn't the person who lives there.
Mm.
Yeah, so then the police come out and they're like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Shit, my neighbors told me to fucking water their flowers. What are you even asking me questions for?" And then they arrest him and make up some shit to fucking arrest him for. But now they in trouble apparently because he's suing them, and they released the video because that's what do you call it? Cam. I want to say dash cam, but police cam, whatever. It's their shoulder cam video.
Mm.
Yeah, so the only place you can get that from is the cops, and the cops are not going to give that out. So they had to get. I'm sure they got sued to, they got forced to give it up,
Mm-hmm.
and that only happens when they're wrong as hell, super wrong.
Well, it is public information, so it shouldn't have been too hard to get, but I think that's some crazy. That's wild. I mean, shit like this still is happening, but hey, I'm glad they get. I'm glad they gotta pay, or they're gonna getting sued or whatever. Because
Maybe that'll have an impact on people's behavior because if they worried about, but the money just gonna come from the taxpayers' pocket anyways. But maybe the police department are hurt in some kind of way as a result.
yeah, well, they never their retirement fund never gets touched.
Yeah, so that's what it should be. There should be some damn penalties that hurt them, you know? Anyways, I want to move on from that topic. Check this out. It says social media reacts to parents demanding New Jersey preschool art teacher be fired because her curvaceous body could distract students learning.
And then I'm gonna sue their ass for suing her. That's
Yeah.
look. That's art.
Yeah, it sound like hate.
Big
It
hate.
sound like hate. I don't know if she should be wearing some like really tight form fitting clothes. I don't know if any teacher should be wearing that. But other than that, I mean, whatever. Look at this comment. It
Nah,
says,
no. Because I mean, she should be able to wear whatever the hell she want, and just because people got a fucked up body and mad at women like her who's got her shit together, no, that's miss me with that shit.
Yeah, it sounds like a bunch of hate. Let me read some of this. It says mothers demand that a teacher be fired because of her body. They say that she is distracting to students. This is a tweet. Somebody
They're
said,
fighting
"Let's."
God.
The tweet says, "Let's be real. These moms are really worried about the days that the dads might have to drop off or pick up. Their demands has nothing to do with the kids." LOL.
At all.
It says, "In a country where teachers are quitting or on strike and they demanding on being fired over their body, comical." Another one, it says, "They are in preschool. I promise you, none of them kids are distracted. Y'all just mad the dads want to check in with the teacher more."
Hmm.
Yeah, just a little bit messy. But it's funny to me.
Yeah, that's weird as hell, bro. I mean, but I mean, it's not like some new shit. This is not the first time something like this has happened.
Um, Check this one out. It says, Arabic "In God We Trust" signs headed to Texas schools. A law requires that they be displayed. This is from the Houston Chronicle. It says Florida activist is attempting to give Texas legislators a teachable moment of inclusion. Following the passage of Senate Bill 797 last year, schools in Texas are now required to display signs with the national motto, "In God We Trust," in a public space if the sign is donated or paid for by private donations. The sign must also include the U.S. and Texas flags centered underneath. So if you look in this picture, so it'll be "In God We Trust" in Arabic here at the top, and then the U.S. flag and the Texas flag underneath. What do you think is gonna come out of that? Somebody says this sounds like it will be getting interesting. That's what I'm thinking.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Wait a minute. I missed something. Now, what's going on now?
It's gonna be because of the law that they passed. Somebody's taking advantage of it, and they're gonna post this "In God We Trust" in Arabic in Texas because of the law they passed in Texas.
Oh, what law is this? I don't understand.
Let me read this caption again. It says, "A Florida activist is attempting to give Texas legislators a teachable moment of inclusion. Following the passage of Senate Bill 797 last year, schools in Texas are now required to display signs with the national motto, 'In God We Trust,' in a public space if the sign is donated or paid for by private donations. The sign must also include the U.S. and Texas flags centered underneath." So if somebody donates "In God We Trust," they have to display it in public or whatever. Some shit in the, you know how they be doing that shit. It's the little
Okay.
bills sliding random ass shit, and they probably thought they was being smart. They probably thought they was doing something. So, but then this person right here is like, okay, boom, I got you, and they're gonna get them with this. It's gonna be interesting. Like I say, the results of this is gonna be interesting. It'll be something to kind of keep your ear out for, because whenever it does come out and get displayed, some people are gonna have some conniptions.
Yeah, I've got that pendant on my neck. On one of my necklaces.
Yeah, yeah. You see this all the time. It hangs in people's windows. I mean, in their car.
Hmm.
Their rearview mirror or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if I guess whoever's supposed to be, learning something from it, hopefully they do. But you know,
Yeah. The rest of us is gonna be like whatever, meh. But it's gonna be some people out there that's gonna be really all, up in
up
arms
in
about it.
arms. Oh yeah. But you know what? I just sit back and laugh at their ass. I mean, what can you do, or what you gonna do?
They're gonna have to go
You
back
gonna
and change that law.
you gonna dig in your pockets and put and donate one to it's gonna go over the top of this one or what?
Yeah, a bigger one.
You know?
Yeah. They don't know what they do, like they say in the Bible, man. They don't know what they do.
Oh shit.
To pop your pimples. Yeah.
Been there.
Yeah, me too. Uh some interesting stuff was happening. We had some primaries happening. Well, New York, Florida, I want to say. Let me pull this up. So it was some interesting political stuff that happened. And I also, last night I was talking about art and philosophy and shit. There was something I said I wanted to play again for you or cover. What was it? It'll come to me. It'll come to me. Come to me. Um, but
This something that you played already today, or
no, it's something I played last night after you got off. I'll remember. And I was like, I wanted to show this to Pat. Can't remember what
man,
it was.
there's this thing that I saw. I know most people who need to see it will most probably is like tries to avoid hearing because like they never want to believe the news that's like people who are staunch CNN listeners or whatever. I listen to everybody. I eat the meat and spit out the bone. But a lot of people they just want to hear what they like to hear. And this woman that was on she did something on, I think I might have sent it to you and Deuce. But however, she was just like really pointing things out that like if it's really it should be easy for people to see, but some people are gonna ignore it just like they do a lot of other things and vote against themselves all over again. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I don't know. I forget her Laura or something. Well, I don't. Well, I'm on my phone. I can't. If I leave, you ain't gonna be able to hear nothing I'm saying. But either way, so who was this? You said the what you was talking about before that? Some primaries or something.
Yeah, some political stuff. But I think I'm going to go into this philosophy stuff. I'm trying to make a decision right now. I think I'm going to go into the philosophy stuff because I think that'll be more interesting. Because I was trying to remember what the hell I wanted to show you. Hopefully it'll come to me. If not, it'll be something in here. This is Philosophy Tube. I've played this before, this channel before. This is an old video from the channel that popped up on my timeline, and it's interesting.
Hi, welcome to Philosophy Tube. I teach people about philosophy. Today, we're learning about Charles Darwin. We're going to talk about where he got his ideas, how he impacted the way a lot of us still think about loads of stuff today, and some of the people who took his ideas and did interesting sometimes horrible things with them.
It's
We'll talk
playing
a
in
little
two places.
Britain was like. There's some stuff later on about God and religion, and we're also going to touch on
It's clear now.
eugenics and social Darwinism too. When I started researching this video, I found that it is surprisingly very relevant to current events. Although this video will hopefully just be a nice, relaxed ramble through the woods. You'll have seen that it's sponsored, but I'm not going to keep any of that money. If you stick around at the end, you'll find out where I'm donating it. So, I've got my backpack, I've got my sunscreen, I've got my water bottle. Let's go on an adventure.
So he's going to talk about the philosophy of Charles Darwin. Well, it's not just philosophy, but Karl Marx is always known for philosophy, but Charles Darwin is known for evolution. So he's going to talk about them two and kind of do like a compare and contrast kind of deal. Man, I'm trying to figure out a way to set this up because it's complicated. But anyways,
Well, let me say this because
go ahead.
Yeah, I actually saw this because
you saw this? Awesome. Did I send this to y'all?
Yeah,
awesome.
I think so.
Awesome.
I'm assuming this is a hell of a coincidence.
Yeah, I probably sent it because I knew I was gonna cover this. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you did. But yeah, now he just pretty much goes back and forth. Now he's gonna run off the path, but I think all of it kind of because he talks about different people as well that came up during the age in which all these things were happening, and I guess really just trying to point out that like the I guess where we live today and the ideas that we live by are mainly based on what these two guys have implemented or theorized long ago, and I would say that I guess like they're both wrong, but I think the guy may favor Marx a little more, but he kind of talks about him not necessarily. I don't know, but I mean, we'll listen some more. We'll kind of
because that's what I like about him because it's hard to know where he stands on stuff, and that's really good when you're just kind of presenting information. That's really good.
We're walking through quite a famous and ancient bit of English woodland. I won't say where exactly, but it's really quite beautiful. You can sometimes see deer in here, and there's a spot a bit further in where you can pick wild blackberries, although it's possibly a little early in the season for blackberries at the moment. But it's really atmospheric. There's a lot of beautiful animal and plant life in the English countryside. And if you and I were walking along here together in the early 1800s, we might have had a chat on the latest theories about where all this life came from. People back then, they knew about fossils. They discovered the remains of all these weird and wonderful creatures that they knew weren't around anymore, including some dinosaurs. So they knew that life on Earth hadn't always been the way it is now. They could see that species go extinct, but they were curious about where new species come from. So what was Charles Darwin's theory? What did he actually say? Well, in a nutshell, he said that a species, like wood pigeons, is made up of individuals who all vary ever so slightly from each other. You might think that wood pigeons are all the same, but if you take your time and look close, each individual has different traits. Trait is a word here that means characteristic or property. Nobody at that time knew why animals of the same species vary, but they could see very clearly that they do. And species breed, obviously, which means they increase in numbers. But at the same time, most of them die. Like a salmon can lay thousands of eggs, but most of them never reach maturity. I mean, they can't do, otherwise we'd all be knee-deep in salmon by now. There's disease and there's predation, a great struggle for survival. That's an important idea, the struggle for survival. Hang on to that one, we're going to come back to it later. And at the same time, we can see that offspring tend to resemble their parents. Like, you get two tall people and they have a baby and the baby grows up to be tall. where you get 2 spotted wood pigeons and they produce a spotted wood pigeon. You never get like 2 pigeons and they make a jellyfish. So there seems to be a kind of general rule that offspring get their traits from their parents. And Darwin realized maybe some of the individuals in a species will have traits that give them a tiny advantage in the struggle for survival. Again, don't know why, but maybe some of the pigeons are born with just slightly different shaped feathers that allow them to fly a tiny bit faster and they outrun the hawk. And they'll be more likely to survive and breed than the pigeons that don't have the special feathers. And since we know that offspring tend to resemble their parents, that means that advantageous traits are more likely to get passed on. And he called this tendency natural selection.
Natural selection. What do you think about that? You there, Pat?
Yeah, no, I'm here. You know, now I guess the whole idea of natural selection, is that supposed to be like the fittest, survival of the fittest, where we
Kind of.
live in the
Yeah.
same.
Yeah.
Well, because I guess on the surface it makes sense, but I don't know if it does scientifically.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it's
Well,
like I said, I mean, this is something I'm recently like even starting to really kind of ponder from this angle, So
yeah, so like, yeah, that's something that we have to read about. They make us read that shit. Anyways, I want to read a couple comments underneath the video. The first comment says, as a biology student, the line, evolution is not a process of improvement, it's a process of change, just fills me with so much joy. Man, did I play any of this video last night? No, I didn't. I played the art one. I thought about playing this, but I didn't play it. Okay. Because, see, my brain is tripping because I read these comments, I watch the videos, and then I don't know if I shared that shit already.
Well, it seems like this guy, he's a student. It seems like he has a clearer idea than these, I guess, what we've lifted up to be very, smart philosophers or thinkers of their day. Because I mean, those were in the 1800s. But he's just like, clearly just telling you, it's like evolution is not about progression. It's just change. It's difference. Like things are, because things happen in life, things will be different, and as we move into the future than it was 20 years ago, 50 years ago, 100 years ago, whatever it might be. So I mean,
Yeah.
like he's
So,
got.
yeah, so that's explaining. The dude talked about that in the video where they're explaining that, it's like, what do you call it? It's mutations. Mutations happen. And he explains, most of the time the mutations are either neutral or have a negative impact. But sometimes the mutations have a positive impact, and therefore, it's advantageous. And that's where evolution, that's where you change into something new, or possibly that's how you go into that direction of evolution in a way that is changing into something new.
Yeah.
Like us having an extra finger. Let me read another comment. It says, I'm autistic, and whenever someone mentions anything about survival of the fittest, I get really scared. It always lurks in the back of my mind that if I was born even 50 years earlier, I wasn't considered human.
Well, what I would say to someone that might have that concern, um, physical, it does have some to do with physical, but being survival of the fittest might be just of the fittest mind, like being smart enough to position yourself, uh, in a way that protects you, or you know you can survive. Because I mean, that can happen with anybody. Like, long as you prepare, you forward thinking allows you to see, potential threats, and you can position yourself so that they can't harm you, then I think that's pretty damn fit.
Let me read
But
some
that's my opinion. Go ahead.
I'm gonna read some replies from that comment. These are the replies underneath that comment. One says, "Yeah, now when you mention it, it's very scary. I'm autistic myself, so I can relate to that feeling. To be viewed as lesser than we are, treated as subhuman creatures, not really fit for society. It's horrible, really." Another one says, "Depends on the type of autism, I guess. My mom works with kids who would have definitely been, I don't know, lobotomized at best 50 years ago. Kids with like really severe cases of autism who require constant care." Hold on. But yeah, most Aspies would probably be okay 50 years
Like
ago, that is.
Asperger's.
Okay. If similar ideas make a comeback today, though, I don't think they would be able to evade ungodly treatment by society. Yeah, I think we're kind of going backwards when it comes to that kind of stuff in
No,
society.
we're still devolving to some extent. Some people are really dumber than, but I see. I don't think that's everywhere. There's some people that are progressive or progressing. I hate to use the word progressive because that get like, but I think we're all progressing in some ways, in different areas, but we're also devolving in others, and it should be. I would hope that it would be more positive, like growth, but it isn't necessarily. Because I mean, if you look at the example of the police, I mean, shoot, there's more people, there's more cops, there's more like resources that could help them with solving crimes or even stopping crimes from happening, but because you know humans, they have the choice to decide that they can be abusive to people instead of you know I don't know. It's just there's many different options, the things that we could point at, but that's just something that came off the muscle.
I'm going to come back to this, but I wanted to ask you because the name of the show is Your Perception is My Reality. What do you think that means? Your perception is my reality.
I don't know if that's something that I could really agree with because I mean, my perception is my reality. Like what I can change things within my own world. Maybe there's things that does affect me based on because I mean, shit, there's things. Yeah, I would say, especially we're dealing with something political that probably other areas, but that's the first thing that comes to my mind is that like the way some people might think can affect me. Like right now, a lot of things that I would have never chosen for myself, we are dealing with it because of we gave the ability for certain people to rule
Because like
for us.
a good example of that is the black guy who's watering the flowers. You
Okay.
know, um, the other person's perception of him was the reality in that situation. The cop shows up and the reality is this guy's a criminal. He's doing something he shouldn't be doing.
Well, I mean, we know that it was like his skin color, but okay.
So, but still, the results of what happened was as if he was a criminal. He got arrested. He went to jail.
Yeah.
So, but the other part of it is, the caption underneath that title is your perception reality? So, because earlier you just said, because I said your perception is my reality, and you said my reality, my perception is my reality. So, but then the other part of it is your perception reality? Is it actually reality?
Hmm.
Because it's just from your perspective of reality.
Well, that's my first thought. Like, well, I guess that is, based on the perspective we're coming from. But, you know, in most cases, um, if we, because I would think that those are rare cases. What we just saw, or what we were just the article you was reading about the guy watering his neighbor's flowers and the cops and this and that. I said that's like something that happens very rare, and you know, for the most part, m- most people are like, even if it came to even a racial, like that's like that hardly ever like that just never happened. So I don't know if I can really put too much up against that. It's not like I said, it doesn't happen enough for me to really be able to say that this would happen over and over and over again. It's just
Yeah. So, but then how do we, if we looking at things and we're like, okay, my perception is reality, you know, but then we don't think about the stuff that's outside of our perception that could be influencing things that's going on around us. How do we, get to the point where we are expanding what reality is or what it could be?
well,
Because, like, do you think, like you said, is your perception reality? You don't think so, or is it
well,
just
I think my perception is my own reality, not somebody else's.
okay?
You know, until like our lives come to meet, I mean, there's no way that they affect each other.
Well, I don't think that's true, but still though, what about you have a group of people, right? You have a group of people together because you can't trust your own perception, right? So you're like, okay, with just my limited perception, I can't really see reality, so I'll get with some other people,
But I trust
and
physics. See, that's the thing. I trust physics, and that's
okay.
just like for me to believe that, you know, when I leave a room, it's no longer there. It's just a figment of my imagination, or that's just, I believe it's still there, and because of my thought of it being there is why it's there.
Mm, okay. I,
It's
I can feel you on that as far as each person's universe, but what's happening outside of your universe or your reality
hmm
um
doesn't
impacts
exist until it doesn't
it.
exist until I'm there.
well 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 what I'm saying is we have to concede that other people's realities or other people's universes affects ours. You know what I'm
but that's
saying?
but but that's only when they intertwine. Like, it's like, if like, all right, I see you today. Like, your reality and my reality was similar earlier today. We were seeing the same thing, the same surroundings or whatever, but we looked at it from a different point of view. But that's only because we were in the same area. Now, when it comes to like me being back in my truck, you being wherever you are, like, your reality and my reality are not gonna run across each other's, because you know I just because I know who you are.
No, but I don't think that's true because you have to think about you interact with your cell phone. The components in your cell phone was made by somebody on the other side of the planet. They
But that's our
interact with that specific thing that's in your hand. They the
I
ones
hear
that
you.
put it together.
I hear you. But that's only based on the actual contact and like our paths crossing digitally.
Yeah, so but that's still an impact, you know?
Yeah, yeah, but I mean, but without the phone call of the and actually having the contact, it like otherwise it's there is no path crossed.
Yeah, no, I don't think so because I think that because there's so much going on, the complexity of our little community of humans on the planet alone without even inputting the other parts of it. There's somebody on the other planet, somebody who built the airplane, somebody who built the gun, somebody who's flying the airplane, somebody who's filled your gas or something, worked at the gas station. What I mean is like stuff that you don't see, like the meat. Like you ate some meat out of the grocery store or something, and somebody cut that. You know what I'm saying? That kind of thing. Like the shoes, the clothes that you have on, somebody made those.
But how does it realize in your life
You
unless
have the
you see
clothes
it?
on. You was eating the meat. You
But you
flew in
don't
the
know.
plane.
Okay, all right. We have to assume that okay, yes, these things are happening somewhere else, but I mean, it does not make a reality within my own life because I didn't experience it.
You're experiencing using the phone or eating the meat or whatever.
But exactly, you're right. But like until those things happen, until the contact happens or the like the interaction with that other being, like until then, that actual life to life contact, how even over a phone, like the only way that it can be, because I mean you can't taste food through the phone, so I mean it's still not a full experience. But until those two beings meet up at the same time and are experiencing those same things, it just doesn't, like I don't know, it's to me like it doesn't seem that complex to understand, but I guess I don't know. I mean,
Well, I overthink everything.
well, I mean, I know, and I feel what you're saying, but at the same time, it's really simple that like okay, just because you tell me you did something today didn't make it my reality. So I can believe you, but like belief and actual like like it's not gonna impress on me as much because I didn't experience it. Me hearing a story, I might be like, "Oh, damn, that was cool," but at the same time, I'm not gonna be like, "Oh my God, I can't believe it wasn't the experience."
Yeah, I get your point as far as you didn't experience the experience yourself.
Yeah, I mean, because that's the only way that you're gonna really have. That's the only way you can actualize or realize something with someone else is to be in that same moment.
Yeah, so but what about your imagination? Like what about when you're dreaming? Like what about the thoughts that you have that aren't uh a thing that happened actually?
Well, I mean, if we both had that same dream and we discuss it, I'm gonna be like, "Oh wow, deja vu maybe," or like, that's some weird shit. You had the same dream that I had, but other than me knowing for sure that we were together, if we just talking about something, I know I was sleeping and this thing happened. It's like, okay, shoot, maybe that was deja vu. Maybe existed at some other time other than when I was sleeping, and that's why I'm having the dream that I'm having. But like, and I'm never going to be able to truly, unless I'm in an awakened state, and I know that you and I cross paths at X time. We're just not like there's no way for me to fully, like, your perspective is not going to impress on me unless I'm there experiencing it along with you.
So,
Because it's
but let me
go
ask
ahead.
you this: you ever have thoughts that you feel like they weren't yours, or you didn't know where they came from?
No, I always know where they come from.
Okay.
It's the ultimate mind. I mean, it's was like like every thought that you have comes from the same place that my thoughts come from.
So then there goes the connection. There goes a connection right there with the other person's universe, the other person's reality.
Okay, but how does anybody ever actualize anything? I mean, this is science. This is like real simple science. It's just really it's kind of hard to express or to, maybe try to explain, but it's really simple science. I mean, nothing actualizes to anybody without, like they have to be there. Like, I mean, yeah, I guess you can experience another plane of existence through dream. And if, like you can be in a wild state after discussing it with somebody else that, okay, damn, you had the same dream and I remember the same way. Like, yeah, maybe, we do have a mental connection where all those things intertwine. Well, when does that, I mean, has that ever is that something that you ever experienced? I don't know anybody who's had that kind of experience. So it's hard for me to just say that, you
So,
know.
but then it's this. That's like saying everybody's truth is the truth. Like and uh, whatever they believe to be true is true. You
It
know.
is. It is. I mean, even though I have a very strongly different opinion than a lot of people around me, especially politically, I mean, until they can see what I see, whatever they see is real.
Okay. Um. Yeah. I lost it. I lost what I
I
was
mean,
thinking.
as many people that think that in their world, abortion is right, and it should be a right. It should be and others might see it a different way. You can't prove to either one of them that they're in what they believe is wrong.
Right. Right. So there and then there goes again where the part where I said your perception is my reality because those females that want to go get an abortion, got to go to another state or whatever because other people's perception of what's a life dictates if they can have an
No,
abortion or not.
no, 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 no. Now see, now that's where
That
you're tainting
becomes
the line. You're
their
tainting the
reality.
lines at that. You what? No, you're tainting the because I mean, facts are facts. I mean, a life doesn't have new definitions just because a different person sees it a different way. The truth is the truth. But your reality or based on how you see the world, like, I mean, I can't, totally, now based on, whatever the laws are, you're gonna have to abide by it or or deal with whatever consequences that come along with it. But you know a life is a life. I mean, when is a life not a life?
Okay. My point is that you know I believe there's all kinds of connections all over the place, and other people's perceptions and realities affects others. Affects ours. You
Yeah.
know, and it has an impact on it, and also kind of molds it in a way. Because it's like pressure. When something pushes on something, then there's going to be a reaction to it. Like it's like pushing into a bubble. So now the shape inside of it is different, you know?
Hmm.
And that's an outside pressure. The bubble is going along on its own, just chilling, and then it bumps into something and it uh, messes with its interior. So, and I think that's what happens with us as humans, and on a global scale. Uh, all of these different thoughts, minds, realities are impacting each other. So then, as a result, you end up with this culmination of thoughts that create the reality that we all live in. So then, that's the only real reality, is the one that's the culmination of everyone's realities.
I get you. Um, I think our definitions could be off a little bit, but I feel what you're saying. Because I mean, like there are things that I can do that can affect your life, and the opposite, things that you could do that could change my life. But I guess where I was having the hang up and what was all, everything that was said, I think is mostly from the, you know, like I guess the way you said it, like somebody else's, because I'm looking at it more, like in a more of a mental thing, like somebody's perception, somebody's perspective. I'm sorry. So yeah, somebody's perspective can, change my reality, but I guess is that more hypothetical? Like, I mean, that's more of a.
Well, I'm just talking about it in the overall sense because, like I say, the culmination of these perceptions. So, and we have to deal with this as our social construct of humans because we have to deal with other humans. None of us can really survive on our own. We're not that kind of an animal, We're not that kind of a being to be able to exist solitary. That's not our nature. You know what
I
I'm
mean,
saying?
that's what they're trying to do to us. But no, I mean, I'm one of those that like God could have stopped at one of us if it was only meant to, if we was meant to be alone, But
But we act like it. We
we
drive in
keep
traffic
multiple.
like it. We behave
Well,
like.
I believe a lot of these things are supposed to happen because I mean, if nobody died from accidents and you know just weird shit like, I mean, where would the overall population be then? Like if we didn't have, like if everybody lived their full, let's just say there's a true, let's just say 90 years old, 80 years old, whatever number that's supposed to be a average lifespan. Um, if everybody made it to their 90s or 80s, whatever it is, what where would we be as a society if people wasn't always dying from and not just from natural causes, like from effed up stuff? You know what I'm saying? Like
Well,
we
that's
would.
nature, and that's what he was talking about in the video. Let me read Doc's comment. It says, "Cancel culture and the changing of dictionary definitions is a good example of perception altering reality."
Oh wow! Now that I'm all over. He said a mouthful right there. That's. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, of course, both. I know you study linguistics and the denotative and the connotative linguistics. So I mean, that's, and obviously Doc does as well. But um, it's it's crazy, bro. Like some of these things. I mean, just the idea, the thought, like shit. Like I mean, just why they want to put chips in our kids.
Yeah.
Some people are like, oh, I can't wait, and and then there's others, I guess, that's more like myself, that's like, you don't get the fuck out of here.
Let me read Doc's comment. He says 45 telling people to drink bleach is an altered reality based on social and news media that directly changed the statement, but people believe he actually said it. And he says the Mandela effect is a disagreement in the remembered reality. Dun dun dun. I want to ask you this, Pat. So, like, because I'm thinking about this green screen that I have with the people with the blindfolds on, and
Mhm.
I think about, like, so what if a person is daytime and they put on a blindfold and then they say it's night? So what my point is, what do you do about the person who completely disregards what's happening right in front of them and claims a reality that's basically the opposite of what's happening, and you can't tell them anything different? Like I say, if they have on a blindfold, it's daytime, it's dark to them. In their eyes, it's nighttime. Can't tell them nothing different.
I guess you know that's where I mean, because we live those realities day to day. I mean, like we live in the same world. We deal with some of the same things, but people just see it totally different. And like I mean, like I said, for me, politics comes up a lot. So like for me to experience something and somebody else experience the same thing, whether it's in the like they walking right next to me, just because of their upbringing, because of the way they were programmed, the way they think, only allows them to see certain things, or their ability to see things in a way that I guess I'm not trained to see, because I've never gotten to the point where I think that I'm better. I mean, I do think I'm right, but at the same time, like, for that person, whatever is going on, and they think that whatever it is, how they're seeing it, no matter how much you argue with them, you know, I mean, even with all the reasoning in the world, like, they not, that's just how they see. That's just the way they see it. Like, I mean, I don't know. It's just something that has to be. I mean, it's pretty much something that we just have to accept or drive ourselves crazy. And that doesn't
Doc
matter.
says
And it doesn't matter what side you lean to or you believe more. But
insanity is what I really focusing on. Doc says we vote them into office like the rest of them. He was talking about the wearing blindfold and saying it's nighttime when it's daytime. Um, yeah, sanity is the thing. So this is what I'm asking. So, like, okay, we're talking about perception, we're talking about reality. So what we are really talking about is sanity. We're talking about sanity right here,
oh wow.
because that's the basis of this. Because okay, so you don't fit into society, you don't understand society, you're not going along with the rest of the crowd, then you are insane. You understand what I'm saying? So there
You
again
just,
goes
hey,
your
say, bro, stop.
perception.
You trying to. Why are you trying to express my life on this pod?
I'm
On
telling you,
this.
man, and it's mine too. But look, and it goes back to what I was saying about your perception is my reality. So now, because you have this group of people who seeing the world in this certain way, totally insane, and you over here saying some sanity stuff, you are now insane, and it's as a result of their perception, and they are the majority. So who's right?
Now, who is they?
The majority, the zombie robots walking around thinking that this
Mm,
plastic world is real.
mm, okay. Well, you know, you can only win for so long if it's really, if you're going against nature, if whatever you're perceiving, and these things that's going on in your head, if they're really off, like, nature is gonna let you know. Like, I mean, you
But that's
you
the
have
reason
to.
why. We're detached from it. Look how detached we are. We're in our homes. We're in these squares. We're looking at squares. We
But
don't.
it's never detached from us. Like it
We
always has an expectation from us. And but the further we move away from that idea of of the highest form of technology that already exists, which is the universe, like when you detach from it, and you know,
but we're not living in it. And look, you was talking about your reality and where you are in space and time. So right now in space and time, I'm sure you are not the temperature of the room that you are in right now is not even close to the temperature that's actually outside. You get
mm-mm,
what I'm saying? That there goes a huge uh detachment from nature right there. And I'll say this, your feet are probably not touching the actual earth. There goes
no, not
another
at the moment.
there goes another detachment, and we can go on from there. So then there's an isolation that's happening. There's a separation, a membrane that's keeping you away from the actual reality of things that's happening. Like earlier when I was talking about, I don't know, were you here when I was talking about the animals and they're eating the animals, and people are so horrified. They see an animal eat another animal and they're like, oh my God, that's so terrible. That's so sad. But then they go to HEB and they buy a steak and they take it home and they eat it with their fork and their knife all elegantly. You get what I'm saying? So, but they don't realize that they're doing the same thing. That animal had to get slaughtered. You think the animal wanted to die, the cow that you're eating? He was like, hey, just make me into a steak. You know what I'm saying? I don't think that's how that went. But we are completely detached from that because we go to HEB and we buy the steak already ready and made for us. So then we see the animal and we say, he's an animal. He's a brute. He just slaughtered that animal and just ate him with his hands and mouth, like, and ripped him apart. He's an animal. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I hear you.
This is our detachment. Let me read Doc's comment right quick. He says, just because I'm a sociopath doesn't mean I'm a bad person. And he says, and it brings no harm, do as thou will, pagan saying. And it brings no harm, do as thou will. I think that's fucking how everybody should live. I think that's what the hell the mantra of life really is. Like, as little harm as you can, but you have to eat. And there's competition in the universe for resources and life, period. And like he was talking about in his video, if it wasn't for that, then we'd be swimming in salmon. The way the universe is the way it is for a reason. It's not meant for everyone to make it, if you will. And there goes what makes the beauty of life. The precious moments that we're supposed to cherish as the universe is witnessing itself, becoming aware of itself, experiencing. I think that's all we're supposed to do. I think I got off track. His comment, damn it, you Doc. Totally switched my mind frame with that comment. Man, I'm lost now. I'm gonna play some of this video.
Holy crap. Now we know where new species come from. Because if you let that process play out on a long enough timeline, the advantageous traits are always the ones that get passed on, the species will very gradually change. And if it goes long enough, eventually the organism you end up with will be something totally different than what you started with. And that is where all of this, including me, came from. That's wild, isn't it? I love these trees just off to the side here. Look at this. Look at how it's all bunched up and all carbuncle. It's like an old witch who's been imprisoned inside it or something. I don't know how they get like that, but it's really quite pretty. Darwin wasn't actually the first guy to come up with an idea like this. He figured out the natural selection stuff, yeah. But even when he was a kid, people were already talking about evolution and discussing its implications. And there was this other scientist called Jean-Baptiste Lamarck who came up with a theory of evolution that was wrong, as it turns out, but was very, very influential. Lamarck was a Frenchman, and he was like, I have solved the mystery. And he said that if an animal acquires a trait during its lifetime, then it will pass that trait on. The classic example is giraffes. You start off with an animal that looks a little bit like a deer, and over its lifetime, it's always stretching up its neck to get the leaves that are just a little bit higher. And after a lifetime of doing that, its neck actually gets a tiny, tiny bit longer. And then it passes that trait on to its kids, and its kids do the same thing. And after enough generations of stretching and stretching, they get really long necks, and you get a giraffe, and that's where new species come from. And they were wrong. As it turns out, evolution doesn't really work like that. Nowadays, we're pretty sure, as far as I know, I'm not a biologist, that organisms don't pass on traits that they acquire during their lifetime. Seems to more be about they pass on the traits that they're born with, like Darwin said. But Lamarckism, as it was called, was a pretty solid go at figuring all this out. So that's Darwin, and that is all Kushti. But the title of the video is Charles Darwin versus Karl Marx. And the most important question is obviously who would win in a fight, to which the answer is obvious. Charles Darwin was a pretty sickly guy, whereas Marx was always getting into scraps and scrapes. He would almost certainly win, unless he was drunk, which he often was. So, yeah, probably actually it'd be a draw.
Nah, Marx would kick Darwin's ass.
Darwin puts his theory in a very famous book called On the Origin of Species. Comes out 1859. We know that Marx read it, and like a lot of people, he was very impressed. 8 years later, Karl comes out with his own book, very famous philosophy and economics book called Capital. And he actually sent Darwin a copy, which Darwin only read the first 100 pages of, which is kind of fair enough, because Capital is 1,000 pages long, and the first 200 are pretty dull, and then it gets to the spicy stuff. So you probably already know that Marx was a communist. So what does that mean? All right, I will try to explain it simply. Communists say there's two kinds of people in the world, right? There's the people who get money by working for a living, and there's the people who get money by owning stuff. Specifically, the stuff that other people make. Like Elon Musk. He doesn't put the Teslas together. He doesn't even design them. He's got other people who do the actual work. And yeah, you know, he puts up the capital and he takes the quote-unquote risk. But you can throw as much money and as much risk as you want at a sheet of metal. It will not turn into a Tesla. The only reason the whole operation runs is because we're doing the work. He just owns the company, and when they sell the Teslas, that somehow means he gets to keep the lion's share of the money that comes in. And communists are like, that's a silly system. Who came up with that? What if instead all the people who do the actual work owned the factory together, and then they could share the money between them? So we don't really need Elon Musk. He's just like an extra level on the top, kind of siphoning off the cream. We don't really need him. He should go and get an actual job instead of mooching off the work that we do. And actually, if we do that and then we own the factory between us, we can vote on how long we want our shifts to be. We can vote on how we want to invest the profits. We can control the working environment a lot more. Like, it'll be just like, what's that word? Democracy. And Elon Musk goes, no, you can't do that because I own it. It's my property. And the communists go, so we're supposed to be living in a democracy, but 99% of the time we spend living and working in an environment that's like a mini dictatorship. You just control it. And you control what happens to all the money. And the only thing stopping us from having full democracy and having a better quality of life for everyone is property law? Well, that sounds like an easy fix. Why don't we just reform property laws?
Pause. So he gave a pretty good description of what communist is. What do y'all think? I know Doc has some comments, as if he's still there. What do you think about that, Karl Marx, and his explanation of what communism is?
Man, it's a lot. If because if you really want to go to Doc's comments, you can, but because like really, it
He hasn't
confused. Good.
he hasn't made a comment yet.
Okay. Um, as far as the whole communism thing, like I just I don't know. Is a communist because all right, maybe let's retract and now just clearly Darwin. We're talking about Karl Marx, right?
Right now, we're talking about Karl Marx. Yeah, because he
And
wanted to. He was finna go into. He's about to go into explaining Karl Marx philosophy related to uh, Charles
so
Darwin, but
oh
he
to
wanted
Darwin,
to
yeah.
explain. He wanted to explain what communism was.
And
Before he got
his
into it,
debt, and in a nutshell, communism to him was what?
was what he's explained here is the people owning the means of production. You know, um, basically that's it. The people own means of production, and getting rid of the private property laws, adjusting the laws related to private property.
But does it ever really work that way? Because I mean, they say like China is a communist country, but Xi Jinping, he's the fucking boss. Whatever he say gonna go down. So is it really communist?
I don't know. I feel like China is like a mixture of communism and capitalism, and I also think China is the future. I think that the rest of the countries are going in that direction. They're gonna land on that. China is the future. The way they do shit is like the way everybody's gonna be doing shit.
Possibly. I mean, I don't know. I mean, they do have a heavy influence on the world, but I'm mostly looking at okay. You say the defining communism. Like, is that really what is happening in China? Is it really communism? I mean, regardless of
No,
what the people follow.
not pure communism, because that's what I just said. I think that they have a mix going. It's a capitalist communist society, and like I say, I think that that's where we're headed. The United States is headed that way, and the other Western countries are headed that way. Shh. I think all the freaking what they would call developed countries are headed that way.
Um,
That's
maybe
Chi-
because I mean,
Doc's.
all right, go
Wait,
ahead.
let me read Doc's comment. He says China is a dictatorship.
Hmm.
They send people of illegal religions to camps and farm their body parts. That's not nice. He says sterilize them against their will.
Pretty
That's
much.
not nice.
But that's what they're doing. That's what they're trying to do.
That's not nice, China. You shouldn't do that. Bad, 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 China.
But that's and see, but that's the part that I mean, I guess that's where my argument lies more than what communism is. Okay, because we've laid out what the description, the definition of what communism is, but that's not what's really being exercised. Just like capitalism isn't what's really being practiced here in the United States. They say it, they will argue with you and try to explain to you in so many ways
Right.
how it
But
is,
it's totally
but
not a free market. There's no fucking way. Get that the fuck out of get
no,
all the
I
way the
mean,
fuck out of here.
exactly. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, it's really because I mean that's one of the things where I say like, because some people are saying that we need to throw away the Constitution and start over from the beginning. But it's not the Constitution that's the problem. I mean, there's really nothing wrong with the laws. There's nothing wrong with the Constitution at all. It's the people that either operate or don't know how to operate in it. Like we got the politicians who operating through it and doing this and doing that and whatever, and then the people who are not educated enough to realize how they should move within that. Like I said, that whole idea of know thyself really means something. You learn it from through the Bible, but that really means something in real life. So if you don't really know how to utilize yourself within a certain construct, I mean, you can't really blame anybody else but yourself. But you're not. You're gonna blame somebody else for not doing what you know they they're supposed to. So it's like, it's a lot. I don't. It's a lot.
I want to go to some more comments underneath the video. That comment is not gonna make sense because we haven't made it to that part. Let me read this one. It says, as someone studying biology, I can say that she really pretty much nailed what evolution is about, considering that she's not a biologist. This is very uncommon for people not studying biology and talking about evolution. No, he obviously did some studying in that shit. Very clearly has done some reading on that. Let me read some more. It says, walking through the woods talking about Marx is the socialist version of ranting about AOC in your truck.
Oh my God! They say this new chick is just like her, or 2.0 of AOC.
What's the name?
Kirsten or what, something. I forget her last name. The one that's supposed to win the primary in New York.
Oh shit! I wanted to cover that shit. I think I know who you're talking about. This little Latina chick. Yeah. I can't think of her name though. Yeah, she got a bit of
Kirsten
accent.
or Kristen or something, whatever it is. But yeah, man, she's got a very white name for a Latina.
Yeah, it's that district. You know how New York is, and the people are concentrated in certain areas. So that district is like a certain group of people, if you will. Let me read some more comments. It says, tribal membership isn't genetic. Every tribe has their own citizenship rules. You can have the DNA but not be part of the living community. I want to make a stamp of this and slap it on the forehead of everyone asking me, so how much native are you? As if that qualifies or disqualifies me from being native.
Mm-mm. But that's I guess that's where your point comes to life is, you know, when we're talking about perspectives. I mean, in all actuality, you are 100% you. You are, whether it's indigenous, whether it's, you want to call it Negro, or however you want to call it, but based on somebody else's perception, you're seen as something else when it comes to law. Or, I say it's really not really just somebody else's perception, but based on what is actually written in law, because of the status that you hold and that you agree to, you're not who you think you are. Like, you can be a brilliant person, but if you don't understand the whole idea of what happens in law and how you're judged based on your understanding of who you are, you could screw yourself or not.
Let me read this comment. It says, I have a bachelor's in biology, which means I took a class on evolution, and every single bio class mentions Darwin. I had no idea what the socio-political environments was like surrounding Darwin. Darwin holding back biology by 50 years is even discussed every time, considering his mechanism for evolution was the holy grail of biology until the discovery of DNA, we're told it had to do with pissing off the church, which doesn't really make sense. I almost pissed at the tuition I paid. When I read that comment, I can't help but to think that this person obviously didn't learn enough about what he's talking about to talk about what he's talking about. But I would agree that the freaking always mentioning Darwin every time. Oh my God. His name is like when we talk about psychology and they say fraud all the damn time. Like they always gotta freaking mention this guy. Like, oh my God. And then like the part about, it's true that they talk about, the church being so that's what they say. Darwin was holding back. He was afraid of the church, and so it's like evolution. He's talking about evolution, and then they're talking about, God created man. What are you talking about? He's like, okay, well, we're gonna just not talk about that right now. We're talking about some other stuff. We're talking about birds' beaks. We're gonna talk about some birds' beaks. You know what I'm saying? We're not gonna talk. Yeah. God created man. That's perfectly fine. Let's talk about these birds' beaks over here. Let me read some more comments. It says, it's rare that people are as Malthusian as Scrooge these days. LOL, as a homeless man in America, no, it's not, especially since Trump. It's so common. We got to play that part of the video because that was really funny when he was made the anyways. Let me read another comment. It says, as a blind person, the whole killing all the blind and deaf portion of the eugenics section of the video hit differently, LOL. My initial response was, hey, we got a shout out in philosophy tube video. Yay. Terrible context, but yay. Also, I would absolutely love that deep dive into disability that he kind of alluded to possibly doing one day. I would like to see an analysis of how eugenics, possibly as a school of thought, has come to shape how we collectively treat and think about disability. Today, overall, awesome video, and I love these super long ones. Yeah, I want to play some more. This is a really good video. I'm definitely not playing it all. I can't, but I want to play some more.
And then Elon Musk goes, that's communism, I'm calling the police. I think I'm probably going to have some communists being a little bit cross at me in the comments because I know I've simplified it, I know I have, but that's because this video isn't about communism. Just like there were people who believed in evolution before Darwin, there were people who were communists before Marx. There were a lot of people who were like, this job sucks, our jobs suck, we want full democracy, we want to get rid of Elon Musk, we don't need him. And a lot of them were actually quite fond of Lamarck. They were like, well, by struggling, the working people of the world will be improving ourselves, and then we'll pass those traits on. And a lot of them believed that human beings descended from apes. That was an idea that was already floating around before Darwin, and they were like, if we're all descended from apes, that's a pretty solid basis for assuming that we're all equal. God didn't make Elon Musk the CEO of Tesla. We can change society if we want to, man. So, Marx reads Darwin, and he's like, oh my God, yes! This guy, he's saying that species emerged through natural laws that can be explained by science, and that's what I'm trying to do with Elon Musk. Marx thought that he could explain loads of stuff about society and answer loads of really big questions by doing a kind of natural laws science look at why does Elon Musk own so much stuff? Like how come your job feels like a miserable grind all the time? How come your rent goes up, but your wages don't? Why do we have economic crashes and recessions? Why do the richest countries in the world always have an unlimited supply of tear gas and riot shields, but they can't manufacture enough masks for everyone during a pandemic? Marx was like, lads, I figured it out. I've done a science and I've done a natural history, but I've done it on society, and it explains everything, and it's all in my 1,000-page book. It's starting to get a little bit muddy here. I'm gonna have to watch my footing, I think. Don't want to have filth welling around my ankles. Speaking of filth, though, what was society actually like back in the? What was the vibe in Victorian Britain? Well, the vibes were not good. At that time, Britain was very, very seriously engaged in invading other countries and murdering people and stealing stuff. I mean, we loved doing it, man. We loved stealing people's stuff. We even loved it so much that we put up a bunch of statues to the people who were best at murdering people and stealing their stuff. And a whole cultural and scientific discourse springs up to try and justify this. So, along comes Charles Darwin. He's born into a very, very wealthy family, very, very elite. But he's a bit of a wasteman, as we say in England. Like, he studied medicine for a bit, he studies theology for a bit, but he's always goofing off, or he's always going out, because real passion is natural history. He likes being in nature and collecting insects and stuff. So one day, he's aged 22, and he gets this invitation to go on a boat called the Beagle that's sailing around the world. Mainly, he gets invited so that the captain can have someone to talk to who isn't working class. But Darwin really wants to go. He begs his dad, and eventually his dad says, yeah, go on. So he sets off on this voyage around the world. It turns out to take 5 years. And also on board the Beagle are 3 Fuegians. That's people from Tierra del Fuego. Their names were Eliparu, Orundelico, and Yokutu.
Wait. You there, Pat? I remembered what the hell I wanted to play for you, because him talking, I knew it was a connection with what he said in that video with what I wanted to show you that I played last night. And while he was talking, it reminded me. So hold on, I'm pulling it up right now. One second. Internet separated. The show last night has a parental advisory on it and shit. I don't know. I think it was from the Philosophy Tube video I played, but I'm not sure. So it didn't get very many views on YouTube either, because I guess because of that label. But anyways, if y'all want, go back and fucking check out the second half of the video yesterday. It was really good. We talked about art and philosophy and shit. It was good. Anyways, here, let me see if I can find this. Oh shit, something crazy happened. I bet you I lost my green screen.
Monkeys.
Yeah.
And they've said that a couple of times. I told you didn't come from monkeys.
Okay, yeah, this is it right here. I ain't tripping on the green screen right now.
Yeah.
Did you hear that clip? Did I play that? I know I shared it on Instagram.
Yeah, I heard it.
You heard that clip? Let me play it, and then I want to hear your comments.
All right. I was saying I need to go on and get out of here.
Oh, you finna get out? Well, let me play this clip before you go.
You know, like I said, it's been too much time.
That's from last night.
Go ahead. What you say?
You're cutting pieces of what I said last night.
My bad. Because I'm fucking confused as fuck right now. I'm trying to find the damn clip. I thought I had it. Here it is. Hold on.
I never said we came from monkeys.
Money after that. Here, play. Yeah, the weather, man. The lightning is scary to me right now. Like,
but bone for bone, I never said we came from.
This is the clip. I'm trying to get it. It's right after this. Anyways, let's get out of here. I think I have another one on the Instagram stories. I can't skip through, or I'm gonna go too far. I can't slow skip. I don't know how much longer I'm gonna go either. But I had some philosophy shit I really want to cover though. This one says, stop enforcing the idea that you need to be in a relationship. Okay, I read that. Will Smith, the cult thing. Oh, let's play this. This is it right here.
Come from monkeys. And they've said that a couple of times. I told you didn't come from monkeys. Because monkeys and apes are 2 different species altogether. Apes don't have tails. The great apes don't have tails. I never said we came from monkeys. I said we had a common ancestor. And that one of the ancestors remained in the tree and one came down on the ground. I never said we came from monkeys. I don't think we came from monkeys. Monkeys and us are not the same. But bone for bone, muscle for muscle. Every organ and gland that a human has in his body, an ape has it in the same exact place. Do the research. Get your evidence.
Mm.
And let's stop this emotional game that we play with each other. There's somebody up here saying we did not come from monkeys. And they've said that a couple of times. I told you you didn't come from monkeys. Because monkeys and apes are two different species altogether.
Freaking. All right. Comments. Can y'all hear me? You there, Pat? Fuck. Can y'all hear me? Am I going? Let me reset. I'm a freaking reboot. Give me a second. Okay.
Couldn't hear me.
Oh, you there?
Yeah, I was answering you, but like I said, I don't know why you couldn't hear me.
Oh shit! I didn't know if it was me or what. Fuck. Can never know with this shit. Fucking yeah. So what did you think about the comments about the monkey and the ape?
I mean,
Doc says I don't see a problem with what he said. I don't either. Go
yeah,
ahead, Pat.
they're not the same. I mean, we're not from monkeys. It's been proven over and over again. So I mean,
Yeah, well, he said it's apes.
yeah, but that's still a untrue like that. See, the testing. All right, you can cross an ape with a human and make something different, but you're not gonna, you know, produce anything different. Like if you have an ape and an ape, it's gonna be an ape. But if you have, you can mix it with something different. Like you've made that's where you made it something different. So I mean, it's not you can't call it an ape no more if it's been crossed over with something else, whether it's with human or whatever.
But what they're saying is we are an ape. We're an ape.
No, we're not an ape. We're a primate. We're in the primate family, but we're not an ape. Like we have it's different levels to it because I mean, an ape only has like 5 strands of DNA, where we have up to 9. Like that's a totally different thing.
You ever look at them? You look at the apes. You see how they with the facial expressions. You see the butt poking out on the back. You see how they like. Well, the way they move is the part that I think people have a problem with. So that's one of the things that as humans, it's like through history. The people who study this stuff, it's like us walking on 2 legs is kind of what makes us special.
Well, it makes us different.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I'd agree with that.
So, what do you have a problem with? Because I mean, because the word special and different. I mean, because
I don't think we're definitely an ape. We're an up walking ape.
you go somewhere and be an ape. I'm not.
You go be an ape. I ain't no ape.
Well, I mean, because to me, like definitions mean stuff. So there's a difference between an ape and a human. If they were the same, then like, why the hell apes not in fucking class with me? Why apes are not fucking, making deliveries like I am with in a truck, driving 18 wheelers and doing like
Well,
if
let me
they the
ask you
same.
this. Did you know that in human evolution there was a time on the earth where there was like other like human species, like it was a bunch of other like human like species, and we were the only ones that made it. Like the other ones all went extinct. But so like we call them ape mans. It was a bunch of ape man species on the planet. You believe
Okay.
that could be true?
If there was a mixture made with an ape and a man, yeah, that's something that's something that's a little bit different. I mean, you're saying that you're giving a definition, but you have a different thought. Your perception is not meeting the reality, though, because the reality that you're speaking of, ape man, the cross between an ape and a man is not just a man.
Doc says common ancestor. The species branched when one came down from the trees and the other stayed in them.
No, that's not, like y'all. So y'all do believe the evolutionary Darwin's theory. So y'all do y'all because I mean I know it was impressed on your mind and your over the last what century and a half or so. Like that's how they program people. But for those of us who really think on on our own, because I mean, not to say that you never do, but in this area, you're not thinking for yourself. You just listen. You're going along with the program, and regardless of what anybody tells me, I'm not. I can't accept that. An ape and because like I said, we just because we have similarities in nature, because he's got 5 toes and I got 5 fingers or 5 toes, whether it's vice versa, does not make us the same thing. And if you want to just call me a bougie ape, then I mean you can, but I'm gonna say screw you.
That's what I was about to say. My perception is your reality.
But I'm not.
uh,
I'm not. No. But I don't. I'm not. I'm gonna rebuke it. Like I'm not gonna allow that to be my reality. I'm gonna be like, damn, this is motherfucking stupid. Like, regardless. I'm just gonna be like, okay, yeah, I need to go have a debate with somebody who actually,
Doc says we are a common species, then became two different. And then he says that's baboons. I think he was talking about the butt when I was talking about the butt earlier. Baboons have the big old butt that pokes out.
um,
But baboons are not apes, though. They're not even in that family. They're totally different.
but no, I mean, still no. I mean, if it's not a human, then it's not a human. Like, I mean, it's simple. Like,
Well, you have families of species.
yeah, and okay, look. There's all right. There's family of snakes. All of them are not cobras,
That's true. I agree with that.
and we accept that. But you know, when we're looking at other, like, okay, they're all reptiles, right? There's lizards. There's
Right. So,
uh,
but wait, go back to snakes. I like that better. So, the thing with snakes, okay, they're a certain type of animal too. Like they kind of separate from those other ones. So, like, but then there's all different kinds of snakes, though, right? So,
but
but that's where we are on it. So it's
but see,
like
my point.
mammals.
But
You
listen,
when you talk about reptiles and you talk about mammals, we're definitely a mammal, right? Just like the rest of the mammals, you know, we
we,
birth, you
yeah,
know.
based on under the definition of what a mammal is, yes. But and I mean, dolphins are mammals. Like, am I a dolphin now?
No, so but back to the snakes. You have a more specific family of animals.
Exactly. We're
So you
getting somewhere. You just need to remember the shit you're saying.
So yeah, okay. So specific family of animals. Then you have the apes, which we are one of. The specific the specific type of animal. It would be like that. It's it's the arms. We can we got the grasping fingers. We got the opposable thumbs.
There's the some of that too, and probably is better in some instances. But the all right, listen. I mean, because we can. I mean, I go back and forth with you as long as you want. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I mean, we gotta really, like you can call just because it's close, don't mean that it is the same. I mean, Coca-Cola is different than Pepsi. It's not the same recipe. It's not, what I'm saying? Like, it's got the same ingredients, but it's not the same, the level of it. Like, Pepsi and Coke are not the same.
Yeah. So, but how much does that come up to perception?
I mean, it doesn't
Doc
matter how
says
much you.
humans are primate family. Overall, the big, huge family, but it starts getting. I don't want to even go there because this is what I study. So, but I don't want to get all in specifics with it. I'm talking about the ideas of this. That's what we're talking about. So,
Uh,
like the perception. Okay, so how much of that is your perception that you're so much different than the ape?
well, we have a common creator, and there were things that he allowed to happen because I don't think because I mean the biggest thing to me is that if we're gonna go with the Darwin evolution, then that means that every so often there's animals that's changing into humans.
No, that's not how evolution works at all. No,
But no,
it's
okay. But what I'm saying is, if we would continually see if we evolved from those monkeys that you're talking about, it would continue on that same
no, that's not how
process.
evolution works. We could be a horrible accident, and we could
No,
be a dead end.
the definition of what you have for evolution is just tainted. Like that's the part we need to accept because it never worked that way. Like humans were made, apes were made, chimpanzees were made, monkeys are made. Like there's different creatures.
So, but then what happens with the ones that go extinct and what happens with new species? How do we get new species?
uh, from a mutation. Something had to have happened to one of those creatures in order for it to be different.
Right. That's what they're saying with evolution.
Oh my God. Okay, that's not what. No, that's not what it's. All right, that's fine. I don't want
Let
to
me
give.
see.
I want to give myself a conniption over here trying to.
Doc says gorillas kingdom animophilia animalia phylum. I'm saying two words at one time. I've been sipping on some. This is Jacob's Creek Shiraz. What I'm sipping on. I don't have to work anymore, and I work tomorrow night, so don't judge me. Gorillas
Oh,
kingdom anim, Animalia phylum, Cardiac class, Mammalia order, Primates family, Hominidae genus, gorilla. So what? Hold on. So you're saying the gorilla genus? Uh, it's a hominid. Something's wrong with those. Something's wrong with that. It says humans kingdom, Animalia phylum, Chordata class, Mammalia order, Primates family. Something's wrong with these words, bro. Like hominidae, hominidae. I never even seen that hominidae. It says this is what evolution, mutation of the species to develop traits that lead to better survivability. So that's what it is right there. Um, it says mutation of species to develop traits that lead to better survivability. But see, the mutations aren't necessarily to lead to better survivability, and that's what he was explaining in the video. It's random, really. It's like it could be a bad thing, or it could be neutral and they'll have no impact at all, or it could be impactful. It's just totally random. So like, but the animals that end up with this positive trait that improves their life in some kind of way, or they pass that trait down because it's beneficial. So that's the whole thing that they're saying with evolution, and that's how it ends up turning into like another species because it changes so much because one species can't make babies with a different species. That's the thing. So that's the thing, a basic ass fact that we can't freaking get away from. Like, you can't make offspring that can make babies. That's the whole thing. Like, you can't, if it's a different species, the same species can make babies that can make babies. You can make a baby with two different species, but the baby won't be able to make babies. Okay? So, and that's where it goes back to humans and the racism that we have, because people be thinking that other humans are not the same species, but they can make babies with them and their babies can make babies. Therefore, we are the same species. He says it's the scientific definition by species, scientific classification. Yeah, I don't know where you got that from because these words are weird for me right here. The hominidia. I might be tripping because I've been drinking, but that's fucking tripping me out right now. Y'all know I read this shit all fucking day.
I'm tired. I'm
Cause
halfway here, halfway not. So
yeah, so man, that's what was tripping me out earlier when I played the clip from the other video. I thought you were saying you was ready to go and shit. Like that was a trip right there. Cause I figured it was about that time for you, anyways.
it was. But I remember when I said it last night. So you were playing a clip from the show last night instead of the clip that you played in the show last night.
Yeah, so that was a trip right there. That was a whole trip.
Yeah. It's
Anyways,
actually probably past the time that I would have normally gone, but
yeah, I had you engaged for a while.
yeah, it's. I mean, I like debate. It's fun. To some extent, but then after a while, it's kind of like, okay, wait a minute, what did I not say? You know what I'm saying? Like, what can I say that's gonna, really, you know, make, really change your perspective of what you're seeing. And I was like, shit, he ain't, you know, unless he, just podding and, trying to lead me down a different road. Okay, all right, but
Sometimes I gotta create content. Before you go, man, I want you to make comment on you see the green screen
no.
image? You can't
Oh,
see it?
well, I see the image. I don't see the. You wouldn't. Yeah, all right. I see. Was the
The
father
green
and
screen
son?
image with it's
So,
like two
oh, it's two
people, they have masks.
blindfolded.
Yeah, they're blindfolded. And then it's like the chick has an earring and it looks like a cross. What do you think about this? What does that image say to you before you go? It looks like he's got a gold chain on too, like a couple of gold chains.
Um,
Trying
blind
to get out the
bliss.
way. Right? The blue pill?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I
That's
think
it.
about. I think about the blue pill. Because they look happy.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a kind of a bit of a smile on their face.
Yeah. I don't think you know everything that we know, and you students smile all day, every day. or just really like I mean, yeah, you'll have your moments, you laugh, you have fun, this, that, and the other, but you know,
Well, like, I think we could take some lessons from dogs, but like a dog, it seems like they're happy all the time, right? For the most part. They they could be missing a whole leg and they just like running around happy, you know. I think I think a lot of that comes from being just oblivious of so much that's going on around them that they just, they're happy in the moment, give me some scraps, give me some bones, chew on that. I'm gonna dig. I'm gonna dig me a hole. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna run in a circle. Shit, I don't give a fuck. I'm having a good time.
hey, might as well while you're here, you know. I mean, create as many disturbances as possible, and you know, maybe the people where you left those disturbances will figure out something that'll enlighten them and you know make them better people.
Yeah. All right, man. Get you some rest, man.
All right, bro. I'm to the family. Thank y'all for coming out. And whether you're on the live show or you're listening at a later time, we appreciate it. Well, I'm sure Chaka's gonna stick around, but I want to throw out there, you know, your contributions are very much appreciated. So y'all go on and hit the tab. You see it on the screen.
Yep. King
Give,
Chaka and T. That's the
give us some
cash app.
give us some likes. Give us the likes, the subs, and we appreciate the support. Thank y'all.
Yep.
But I'm out. I'll
All
see
right, man.
y'all on the next show.
All right, man. Get you some rest, bro.
Yep. Peace and love.
All right, peace. It's all love, man. It's all love. Um, Scientific classification: animals that develop the notochord or cartilaginous skeleton rod that supports the body in embryo and can often become a spine. Most animals we are familiar with, including dogs, horses, birds, and humans, fall in this category. Like vertebrates. Hominoid, sometimes called an ape, is a member of the superfamily of Hominidae. So yeah, that's what I was saying. That's why I was using ape, just because he would understand. It says sent a link to the animal classification site. I used it on one of my biology classes. Yeah, I'm probably just fucking tripping. Because you definitely right on the part where you said right here. So, anyways, I want to play some more of this philosophy video right here, man. Doc, if you want to fucking dig into some philosophy for a second.
Bushley. And they had been kidnapped or possibly bought, we aren't really sure, during a previous voyage.
They're slaves.
Back to England. And they were exotic curiosities, basically. People were interested in, can we improve the savages? Can we civilize them? You know, they were given new names and they were dressed up all fancy and they were taught to use a knife and fork and they met the king. People wanted to see, in a kind of Lamarckian way, can we give them traits that we want them to have? And then we can send them back. And then they'll pass on those traits to the other savages. And that will make it easier for us to exterminate their way of life and steal all of their stuff. And so on the Beagle, these three guys were brought back to Tierra del Fuego. And when they get there, Eliparu, Orundelico, and Yokushli happily rejoin their original society. They're like, oh, thank God, you'll never believe what all of these weird white people are doing in Victorian Britain. Give me back my loincloth. This tie is ridiculous. Much to the dismay of their captors. And this encounter has a strong impact on Darwin. We've got his notes from the voyage, and we can see that wherever he goes around the world, he's always very interested in people that he sees as primitive or savage, not always in an unsympathetic way, but always he looks at the world having grown up in this society that thought it was okay to treat other people as if they're animals. And in fact, not only did they think it was okay, the whole economy depended on that happening. But there is this really interesting bit in his notes where he says that although the Fuegians may seem savage, they're very well adapted to their environment. They might stick out a bit in London, but they're very well fitted to Tierra del Fuego. So way before he starts talking about Galapagos tortoises and finches and all the famous stuff you might have heard of in school, we can see that the pieces are starting to come together. But colonialism was not the only vibe that Darwin was picking up on. He was also very influenced by a philosopher called Thomas Malthus. Thomas Malthus was an English scholar, and 11 years before Darwin was born, he wrote a very famous work called An Essay on the Principle of Population, which was hugely influential, and still is, alarmingly, because as we will see, Malthus was wrong. Malthus says there are two things human beings need to continue the species, and they both start with the letter F. Number one is food, and number two is
fucking
mating. But, he says, our ability to breed is much stronger than our ability to produce food. And he also predicted, wrongly as it turns out, that the more food we make, the more we will breed. And he predicted this can't go on forever.
Rats.
Sooner or later we will exhaust our ability to produce food and we will have an enormous hungry population. And this idea of the struggle for survival, in which not everyone can live, was a major influence on Darwin, who cites Malthus by name a couple of times in Origin. Malthus was specifically interested in humans, though, and in a very Thanos-like way, he thinks he has a solution to this overpopulation problem. He says that all benefits and aid to the poor should be stopped, and furthermore, that to be poor and dependent on other people is morally disgraceful. He says that providing for those in need will make them wasteful and unable to think of anything but satisfying their immediate desires. The poor all spend too much time in the alehouses, he says, when they should be working hard and saving responsibly, because if we make life too easy for them, they'll breed us into oblivion.
I know.
Hold on, let me play
I know
that.
how to treat the poor. My taxes go to pay for the prisons and the poorhouses. The homeless must go there.
But some would rather die.
If they'd rather die, then they'd better do it. And decrease the surplus population.
It's rare that people are as explicitly
He says it's rare that people are explicitly Malthusian as Scrooge. But I kind of want to play that clip again because it's so like the politics of today. So I wonder where they got their influence from. Dun, dun, dun. What do y'all think about that? Are you there, Doc? Freaking, yeah, so I think that is a lot of the politics of today. I want to take this little clip back.
Name a couple of times in Origin. Malthus was specifically interested in humans, though, and in a very Thanos-like way, he thinks he has a solution to this overpopulation problem. He says that all benefits and aid to the poor should be stopped, and furthermore, that to be poor and dependent on other people is morally disgraceful. He says that providing for those in need will make them wasteful and unable to think of anything but satisfying their immediate desires. The poor all spend too much time in the alehouses, he says, when they should be working hard and saving responsibly, because if we make life too easy for them, they'll breed us into oblivion.
I know how to treat the poor.
Because it's like, what is the name of that movie? Oh, man, my brain just went blank. I want to say Multiplicity, but that's not it. It's, damn it. What's the name of that movie? Anyways, but it's like, that movie is really funny. And they were talking about how, like, the stupid people just kind of, like, keep multiplying. And it's like the world just became full of stupid people. So that's like the opposite of this That's like what they're saying. Like this is what they're trying to like fight against or whatever. Like they don't want to happen, you know. So it's like what I'm saying is this Mathesium, whatever this guy's name is, his philosophy is what's driving this. This is where people are getting this from, and this is what we're hearing in the politics. It's driving the politics right now, and people probably don't even know where it's coming from, or they wouldn't agree with this. They'd be like, "Oh, this is too harsh," or whatever. But at the same time, they're like, "The niggas is getting too much food stamps. We gave them way too much unemployment. You know, we really should cut back on a lot of these social programs because these people are just living off of it. We got all these welfare queens and stuff." Idiocracy. Thank you, Doc. Oh my God. Thank you. It was reading my mind. Idiocracy is the name of the movie I was thinking of. It says it's the 1% versus the 99%. I guess that's true, you know. But you know, the point is like the social programs, the politics, the way that the rest of us agree with this. So the 1% wouldn't even be able to do what they do if it wasn't so many people that agree with the philosophy. This is where all of it's coming from. That's the point of studying philosophy, because then you understand what is the root cause of people's like actions, you know. So then people, the 1% can say whatever the hell they want to say, but they got all of these people that agree with this way of thinking. You know what I'm saying? They agree with it.
My taxes go to pay for the prisons and the poorhouses. The homeless must go there.
But some would rather die.
If they'd rather die, then they'd better do it. And decrease the surplus population.
It's rare that people are as explicitly Malthusian as Scrooge these days, but a lot of that stuff is still hanging around. When people talk about overpopulation as if it's the cause of climate change, when they talk about humanity being the real virus, or we need to sacrifice grandma to reopen the economy, or just Thanos in the Avengers, the idea that there isn't enough to go round, and so some people, usually the ones who don't have very much to begin with, need to be sacrificed so the rest of us can live, is not true, but a lot of people still think and act like it is sometimes. Good news, though, it isn't true. Malthus was just factually incorrect, because we are a lot better at producing food now than we were in his day. We now have enough resources to give food, shelter, and clothing to every human being on Earth. We could even increase the population some, and we would still have enough. The idea that we are overpopulated, or there are too many mouths to feed, or there isn't room, is a myth. He was also wrong when he predicted that birth rates would just keep rising. A lot of affluent countries, including mine, have seen their birth rates falling or holding steady for a while now, for a lot of reasons, one of which is that we have reliable birth control. But this isn't Facts Tube, this is Philosophy Tube. And there are some even more interesting philosophy problems here, because philosophy is kind of like jazz. It's less about the arguments you make, it's more about the arguments that you don't make. And Marx might point out that Malthus conveniently misses a lot of stuff. He rails against the poor who spend their money on beer instead of saving it responsibly. But the idea that working in the Tesla factory might make you so miserable that you spend your money on instant gratification just to feel happy doesn't seem to occur to him. The fact that saving money is no guarantee of anything, because rich a-holes can tank the economy and wipe your savings with no consequence to them, so why would you bother saving in the first place, also doesn't occur to him. He seems to think that poor people are just fools, rather than perfectly sensible people operating inside a framework that he has never seen the inside of. He also doesn't seem to seriously consider the possibility of redistributing resources. He says there isn't enough food, and there isn't enough food for everyone to eat like a lord, fair enough. But Marx might say that we don't have to have lords. Malthus says that everyone, including rich people, should have fewer children. But he misses the fact that rich families with fewer children still consume more resources than poorer families with more children. Most human beings have and consume very little, and the danger is coming from a tiny number of people who own everything, who consume the rest of us off a cliff. Malthus treats that situation as unalterable, and Marx would be like, well, actually, if we had full democracy, We could change it if we wanted to. No, wait, Elon, don't call the police again! Malthus's doctrines are still useful to explain away the disasters of the wealthy as the biological and moral defaults of the poor. Through a Malthusian lens, redistribution looks ludicrous. If there is simply not enough to go around, no system of resource distribution will solve the problem. All of this is rather convenient if you're the one with the resources to start with. So Malthus is often portrayed as this cruel, inhuman Scrooge, or a lackey of the bourgeoisie, as Marx called him. But I want to emphasize that he was also a Christian minister, and I think that might help explain why he believed this stuff and why he didn't see the problems. Malthus says that we should remove all the social safety nets so human beings, who are naturally lazy and irresponsible, will work hard. And by working hard, they will not only be happier, but also worthy of heaven.
Does that not sound
His
familiar?
last 2 chapters in particular talk about how the struggle for survival inspires Christian virtue, and how all this cruelty is ultimately for the best, because we have a chance at eternal life. There's a spiritual idea here that hard, painful work is what you are on earth to do, an idea that Marx would strongly disagree with. I think we need to read Malthus as a theodicy. A theodicy is a technical term for an argument that tries to explain why there is evil in the world, but why God still exists and loves us. And given that Malthus had such a religious outlook, it's kind of ironic that he ended up influencing Darwin. I've stopped for a bit of a break. It's always important to stay hydrated when you're on a hike.
What is it? Barbecue sauce?
Refreshing. So Darwin was very influenced by Malthus. There's all that stuff about sex and death and the environment, but his theories also had profound implications for religion. And the reason they did is that Darwinism seems to show that we were not designed. We weren't created. I mean, I studied Christian theology at university, and I was told that humankind was made so that we could know and love God, and through his son Jesus eventually come to occupy a state where we exist with God forever in the afterlife. That's the meaning of life. That's what I was told. And Darwin showed that the first bit of that, the idea that we were created, isn't true. The fact that natural selection happens on its own is a very serious challenge to the idea that humanity has any kind of divine destiny. And in his time, as now, there were people who said, well, how can all of this have come about by chance? There's an example I've seen somebody use where he says, oh, if I look at my fridge and the fridge magnets, the letters, they're all jumbled up, then it's fair to say that someone's just chucked the letters on there randomly. But if I look at it and it spells out a message like, please buy some milk, then I know that someone put that there. There's no way that happened by chance, right? And this is based on a very old misunderstanding of what chance and randomness actually mean. Variation does happen by chance, but natural selection is not random. It's not random that the slower pigeons get eaten. They get eaten because they're slower. Natural selection is a kind of filter that weeds out all the variations that don't survive as effectively. So if we were chucking fridge magnets at your fridge, but they're special magnets that only stick to the fridge if the message makes sense, then we would actually expect to see messages that make sense. And in Darwin's day, there were some who came back and they said, okay, you don't know why variation happens though. You can figure that one out yet. You know, maybe natural selection is a godless process, but perhaps God is controlling evolution behind the scenes. Maybe God is where the variations come from. Nowadays, though, we do actually know where variations come from. They come from genetic mutation. And the thing about mutation is, just because a mutation would be useful doesn't affect its chances of happening. You might think that if we take a bunch of mice and we put them in a very snowy environment, and then we hop in our TARDIS and we travel forward 1 million years, there's going to be a bunch of adorable wee mice running around because they'll have mutated thicker coats. The ones with thicker coats that keep them warm will have survived and reproduced. But no, it's very possible that we get to the future and there's just a bunch of dead mice because the genetic mutation that would have caused them to develop thick coats just never happened. Just because a mutation would be useful doesn't mean it's going to happen. And most stimulations are actually harmful or neutral in terms of your chances of surviving. So again, the processes that produced all life, including us, don't require a designer to keep going. So theism, the position that there is a God who created us for a reason and loves us and cares about us, might be in serious trouble. Not that there aren't replies to this, and not that it isn't still a very popular position, including with evolutionary biologists, it must be said. So if that's how you want to live your life, then hey, no worries. Okay, that was a nice lunch break. I think it is probably time to keep going. Oh, someone's been building spooky structures in the woods.
Doc says, so why can't creationism and evolution coexist? I don't see a reason why they can't. And I say that all the time. I say that why can't evolution be God's process of creation? What problem can anybody have with that? You know, when we look at the thing where it says talking about the 6 days or whatever, who knows what 6 days is to God? 6 days could be the time that it took for all of the evolution stuff to happen. We don't have to argue about these things. He says, but the vessel had to be grown, evolved into a form that could hold it and thrive and create energy with our belief to feed him. I don't know what you mean there. I'm lost there. The vessel had to be grown, evolved into a form that could hold it and thrive and create energy with our belief to feed him. I really don't get it. Oh, this we're talking about. So why can't creationism and evolution coexist? That's what I was saying, though. I don't get this part, though. I don't get it. I want to play some more of this. I ain't going to play too much, but a little bit more.
I've seen Blair Witch Project free trade. They supported the abolition of slavery, and they wanted this society in which everyone was on equal footing and everyone could compete. They thought that would lead to the best outcome. Marx and the Marxists, not a big fan of this idea. Not the freeing the slave stuff, they were obviously in support of that, but they did some natural laws and some science, and they predicted that if you have free market competition and free trade, then over enough time, it will funnel wealth into the hands of a smaller and smaller group of Elon Musks. The advantages of free markets will then begin to become undermined as that group of people tries to hold on to their money and power. I did a video about this a while ago talking about the video game industry. They predicted that it would happen over a century ago. So the Whigs had this egalitarian spirit, like kinda, like ish. Darwin was also very against slavery, for instance, but they had also read a lot of Malthus, and they wanted to get rid of all the benefits and all the aid for the poor. And they pretty much succeeded. During Darwin's lifetime, this philosophy became government policy. They really did strip back a lot of the social safety nets. And it didn't work, because what it actually does is intensify competition for jobs by putting the squeeze on the poor, so wages go down, profits for Elon Musk go up, but everyone else is kind of miserable. So miserable, in fact, that these policies were very unpopular. There were riots. There was a general strike in the 1840s. The British Army and the police were sent in, and they just murdered working class people in the streets.
Let me read the comments. He says, we created in God's image to hold a spirit. Who's not to say he's not a shapeless being of energy like a soul? Yeah, I don't think that anybody can really just, in this one it says, but the vessel had to be grown, evolved into a form that could hold it and thrive and create energy with our belief to feed him. Okay, so then that's like the Christianity. Okay. That's the reason why it's confusing to me, because that's that theism stuff that sometimes loses me. So, but I get it. Hold it and thrive and create energy with our belief to feed him. I don't think that God needs our belief in him. I don't think God needs our praise. I don't think God needs anything from us at all. Let me read some of the comments underneath this because I'm probably going to wrap it. Let me make sure I don't go over something I already read. It's this one it says, I told a guy I was born with a cleft, and he instantly started talking about you need to make sure not to have kids. This one it says, I'm putting hot sauce in my omelet, and the hot sauce is communism. I choked on my dinner after that. It's rare that people are as Malthusian as Scrooge these days. LOL. As a homeless man in America, no, it's not, especially since Trump. I think I read that. It says, explains biology better than most of the science teachers I've had. Transgender firefighter Steve Bannon throwback and foreshadowing legend. Please do a disability philosophy video. Thought includes capacity, as in capacity contract you've mentioned before, related U.S. elections, manipulation, voter suppression, and capacity of candidates, COVID lockdown and healthcare decisions, something about epidemiology and its relationship to colonialism and to disability, or almost anything else. Hope you see this. I was listening to this video more than watching it, but the second I heard a traveling salesman, I immediately tabbed over because the arsonist is my favorite of Abby's characters, and I was not disappointed in the slightest. Want to know how I got these scars? Wants what? Do you have a match? Has really? Yeah, man. This video, I recommend you guys checking it out if you're into this kind of shit. But it's really long, so I can't play it. Another one, it says, the concerned father part was just the most beautiful and delicate representation of flawed ideals that I've ever seen. Another comment, last summer when this video came out, I commented that this scene reminded me a lot of how my mother talks about me being transgender. It made me quite emotional because I rarely felt so seen, as in the character who is saying this is the arsonist, a character who wants you to empathize with him and then spouts out garbage ideas. This is a bit mean, of course, but it is a parody, so of course it's over the top. Now that Abby is out as trans, it makes me wonder how many other people have heard these words. I always felt like she understood what it's like, and I guess she did. My damn eyes are getting blurry. Rich Arsonist is my favorite character, just the right blend of off-putting condescension and clearly feigned sincerity. A year later, I'm an anarchist. Thank you for teaching and introducing to me these ideas. Damn, I gotta play that part. I don't remember him saying that. So hold on. What part is this? It must have been after the part I stopped watching it. I made it an hour into it. Hold on. Something about the arsonist. Hold on. Let me see if I can find it. He must have been telling the story. Damn it. That's too far. That's the end of it. I ain't gonna be able to find it. Anyways, I'll go back and watch it. Maybe we'll fucking play some of this later. My eyes are getting blurry. I'm gonna have to wrap it, y'all. I can't even see straight. The comments. Without our belief, does he really exist? That's a good question, Doc. That's a very good question. And a lot of people say that man creates religion anyway. Man creates God. A lot of people say that, you know. But then you have to have the argument of the spark. Because even in science, even the atheist scientists has to ask the question of what was before the Big Bang, what caused the spark, and then you can fast forward past that and then go to the primordial soup when they talk about the oceans just being devoid of life, and then just all of a sudden, like the way that they explain it is lightning, or it had to be some kind of like heat, because you already had all of the different molecules, all of the different elements were there, but something had to create the perfect little circumstance for them to come together and create like a little organism. And that part is hard to really fucking swallow. Like they're jumping through flaming loops to explain that shit. It's like lightning struck the water and a little capsule of like, I don't know, some freaking some damn electrons fucking moved from one to another or some stupid shit. But one of the ones that's the most interesting to me though is the one about deep in the ocean, and I think they're more on point with this one, with the deep ocean vents and these elements coming out of the ocean and being hot and shit. And then you have these like tubes that build up, and then you have these little cell like structures, let's call them that, because that's how they're looking at them. It's like an artificial cell. It's like little corridors inside of this like freaking vent, right? And then it has all these infinite different little variations happen, and then you have these little protective little squares where a little, basically a science project is going on. And at some point, like, but still that's really tough. That's a tough pill to swallow, and I've done a lot of reading on that shit, and that's a really tough one to swallow right there. So what I'm saying is, even within science, they have to ask, what is the spark? How did it start? So that one is tough when you don't want to believe in God. I believe in God. I do. I believe in God. I believe in the universe. I believe that there's an intelligence. I believe that there's the Fibonacci code, God's signature in everything. So I believe in God, but I also, the way I look at it is like, our perspective is, we can't understand it. So we can't even begin to really get it. So, but it's really nice thoughts to kind of try to imagine what happened before the Big Bang. And I also like to do the thought experiment of the Bible when it talks about being in darkness and the next day is this and the next day is that. I think it's a thought experiment, and you do it over and over and over again. You think about nothingness and what you would do if you was in just nothingness. And that's what you're supposed to do, I think, because we're creators. And then they say in there, that we are created in God's image. So then if God created all this stuff, then that means that we can create stuff. So then that's what we're supposed to take from it, as far as like, the religions, a lot of them are just created by man, period, just to control man. I think that spirituality is just this connection that you have with God as an individual, your understanding of the universe, your understanding of God. And can't nobody explain it to you. Can't nobody teach that to you. You don't need a teacher for that. That's your own personal discovery. That's your own personal path. And that's what we're doing as the universe is discovering itself. That's what I feel. So, but I do believe in God. I do believe in the universe, but I do believe in science at the same time. And I'm not going to be disregarding science because of a religion. Doc's comments. It says, trying to really understand God is the stuff of eldritch horror, like Lovecraft stuff. Yeah. Even if we could, for just one moment, understand God, it would be like an ant becoming human for a few seconds, then returning to an ant and trying to comprehend it all as an ant. Yeah, your brain would probably just turn into mush. It wouldn't work no more. You would definitely be insane. You would not be able to go back to being an ant anymore. No way. So death is probably what you would have to do. That'd be your only path. So yeah, our perception of God is limited by our eyes and our perception of reality. And the whole name of the show is Your Perception is My Reality. And the sub to that is your perception reality? So like we think we know what God is that reality? You know, we think we know what created the universe or what created life or what happened before the Big Bang, but is that reality? You know, is that just our perception? Is that just us fucking rationalizing shit and simplifying shit in a way that makes sense to us so we won't feel crazy? You know, is that what we're doing? Because we're talking about sanity. That's what I was saying. The whole thing when you're talking about perception and reality is all about sanity. So are we insane if we think we really understand what God is? You know, are we sane? You know, if we really think we understand it. Anyways, y'all. I think I'm gonna wrap it. It's almost 3 a.m. I'm tired. So I think we'll come back to this topic tomorrow because it's interesting and I think people like it. So we'll talk about God some more tomorrow. He says, are we sane if we really claim to even know ourselves? Ooh, dun, dun, dun. Yeah, because we're discovering ourselves every day. So I think that no, we don't. We're struck. That's why it says know thyself. Is because you're working on that every day. It's a struggle. It's like growth. It's like, you know, it's like education. It's like a scholarship. You continually working on it. You never freaking finish knowing thyself. Because you change every day too. So that's the other part. Because what they say about the river, you never step into the same river. And then they say even more than that, you're not even the same person that you was the last time you went to the river. You never step into the same river once. Is the mind fuck. It says, so if we are discovering ourselves, then we really don't know ourselves. We don't. And I think that the universe doesn't know itself. And that's what we're doing. That's what our purpose is. To help the universe get to know itself. And we're the microcosm of it as we are getting to know ourselves and each other and how we interact with each other. Because you know what they say, like, you know, when you really start looking at stuff, and I showed the pictures of Jupiter and how big it is and how big the Earth is and how big the sun is and stuff. And it's like, it really puts things in perspective how we think things are so important. But then when you look at science, then it starts making it seem like nothing really matters. But then our interactions with others is what matters, you know? So at the end of the day, at the end of everything, at the end of science, at the end of atheism, at the end of religion, how we feel or how we make others feel matters. Okay? So that's what it comes down to, you know, how we make the earth feel, how we make other animals feel or insects feel or whatever the hell, how these things made us feel. Because that's real, right? That's the most real thing. That's the reason why we're emotional, you know, and we do things that are sporadic and for no point and like it's dumb and bad decisions, because the most real thing for us is how we feel. Anyways, give y'all something to think about. I'm gonna wrap it. So I have to pee. Peace and love. I'll be back tomorrow.